wrestlingobserver.com. We got a lot of news to talk about here today. And Dave, what do you want to start with?
We need to talk about the ratings, considering that everybody set record lows in the last week. And the first thing I want to say is that since the SmackDown number came out, which would have been late last night, all of a sudden, people have been going like, yeah, WWE's on the way down, booking's terrible, everything's terrible. And the thing is, with all of the ratings this week, okay, everybody did set record lows. It was also, or near record lows, because the Netflix Raw number actually was the second lowest in their history. It wasn't their lowest, but it was against the World Series. And for Friday and Saturday, it was a lot worse than just the World Series. Although Saturday, it was the World Series game that was the highest rated baseball game in this country. Seventh game of the World Series, super exciting game. Highest rated game in this country in like 8 years, something like that, since like 2017, whatever it was. 27 plus million in the United States, 16 million in Canada, 10 million in Japan. Between that and the fact that WWE had the Saturday night's main event, AEW's Collision was going to get killed. It did get killed. It did 217,000 viewers, 0.03, which is, I believe, ties the lowest they've ever done. But it had everything going against it. Between that World Series game and the fact that WWE show head to head, it was just what it was going to be. I wasn't even surprised at all. Actually, the viewer number was perhaps even higher than I expected. But it is what it is. The Friday SmackDown number is the one that people are jumping on more than anyone because it was 933,000 viewers and 0.20, and it was under a million and well under a million. But again, the thing there is, yes, it was against the World Series. Again, the week before they were against the World Series, and they actually did fairly, they did a lot better. But it was Halloween night. Okay, so you can throw that one out. I think a lot of people are jumping on that one as like some thing of like finally there's something between that and the attendance at SmackDown this week that shows that WWE is going down, it's doing terrible, and it's the farthest thing from the truth. It is not its peak. It is very clear that the peak numbers that they were getting before, that they are that we're past that peak. And things are down, but they're not in like danger zone or anything like that. Halloween actually probably would have hurt under normal circumstances a lot worse because the thing is that, however, for whatever reason, these ratings show so much lower numbers with under 35s, and that would be the audience that Halloween's going to hit the worst. With the TV numbers that we've got from wrestling right now, they're largely people who are over 50 are watching these wrestling shows based on the way these shows are being tracked in the last month. And those people are going to be less apt to be out trick-or-treating or taking their kids trick-or-treating than people who are 35 or teenagers who would be going trick-or-treating themselves, or people who would go to Halloween parties. So Halloween is always a killer number for WWE and for pro wrestling in general. So like I said, it is a record low. It is something that you probably shouldn't take too seriously. And if you're trying to use it for some idea that evidence that WWE is falling,
it's probably this with that earnings call today.
Money-wise, they're doing fantastic. But as far as popularity and earnings are two completely different things. As far as the popularity, there's a decline. There's no doubt about it. And there's also an issue with the pricing and everything like that. Salt Lake City, was not successful for their two shows over the weekend, especially SmackDown. They picked a market that wasn't the best. Doing two straight shows at those high prices, it didn't work, especially for the Friday show. And, that was it was a misjudgment. But it's not like, most of the shows coming up, the advances are mostly good. There's a few bad ones, there's a few bad ones. Obviously, I think that this, I think the thing might have even fallen sooner, as far as like everything. And I think that one of the things that really helped WWE this year, which I figured would, was the Cena thing, the Cena countdown, because they're doing this next Monday's Raw in Boston. Obviously, that's going to be really big. The week after in the Garden is going to be even bigger, and then the DC show on December 13th is going to be, most likely the largest arena-sized gate in the history of professional wrestling because those tickets are really jacked up. And so you can get away with that, when you have a big enough traction. It's a lot harder after, and we'll see. Nick Khan today was talking about that he feels that the combination of eliminating the house shows has made the product more scarce. So because the product is more scarce, there's more demand for tickets to these shows that they are doing, like the TV tapings and obviously the pay-per-view shows, and has enabled them to raise the price because of the scarcity. Now, as long as ticket sales are good, inherently, based on the law of supply and demand, the tickets are not priced too high. And as long as the secondary market prices for tickets are higher than the face value of the tickets, the next time they come to town, the ticket prices are probably likely to be higher. If the secondary market numbers go down, from the pricing, like Scott, then you may not raise prices. You may even have to lower them. But that's what is going to determine the pricing going forward: is what is the secondary market getting, and are they making money on these shows that we should be making? That's how these decisions are made for almost everyone. There is an exception with the Savannah Bananas, but they're the exception to the rule. Everybody else, that's pretty much how they're judging ticket prices, and WWE ticket prices have doubled. So even if, let's just say, it's doubled in the last couple of years, even if, let's just say, attendance drops for WWE 15%, just say, or 20% after this quarter, because this quarter will do well because of the Cena shows, okay? But when we start talking about 2026, Cena's gone, and it's maybe a different ballgame. If they drop that, the reality is with these higher ticket prices, the gates are still way higher. So they're still, from an earnings standpoint, they're still doing better. In the long run, if they overprice, then they'll know. And when they do, the price will come down. But that's the strategy. The strategy is fewer shows with the idea that the scarcity will make the prices go higher and make the demand higher. And we'll see how that goes. So anyway, as far as like so the SmackDown was 933,000 and 0.20 and 0.08 and 1834, which is, these numbers are unfathomable by the old system. But we're also talking again between the Halloween thing and also, obviously the new way that they're counting, which really hurts. It devastates 18 to 34. It hurts 1849 really bad. Overall number, it hurts 15 to 20%, maybe a little over 20%. But the other numbers, it's a disaster for the other numbers. The 1834 numbers have been cut in half, and there's no way that since mid-September to the first week of October that interest is suddenly in one age group cut in half. That's just ridiculous. So as far as that was, the SmackDown thing is really what triggered a lot of the stuff that I heard in the last day, and was a great overreaction. And the SmackDown number will be back, well up next week with no World Series and with no Halloween, of course. That's like getting all upset over the July 4th rating or a New Year's Eve rating. Will it be up to where it was in September? Of course not. That's the whole system that's changed. That's not going to be the case. The Raw number, which would not be from Monday, the Raw number Monday is probably, almost surely going to be up from the last one, because the show on October 27th was the second lowest they've ever done, barely beating September 29th. September 29th was overseas. So that was part of it. This was not overseas. This did start regular start time. This one got hurt by the World Series, and that's all there was. It got hurt by the World Series. It's not an indication. I mean, the week before the number was good, So of course, the week before the reason the number was good was because of the Seth Rollins injury and the Battle Royal and what was going to be how they were going to determine the world title. So I think that's what helped them be a little bit above normal this week. The World Series put them below normal. I mean, they're at a steady level on Netflix at this point. It's not, they were going down for a long, long time. It's steady. It hasn't dropped much. Didn't even get hurt. I think it gets hurt more when it's out of the normal time slot. And they did that experiment. They did not announce. They didn't announce Boston at 7, did they?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because originally Boston and New York were going to be at 7. I haven't checked. I actually checked that. But originally those were going to be 7 o'clock shows. But the 7 o'clock shows did significantly worse than the 8 o'clock shows. So going to 7 was that experiment that they did in September. Was an experiment and proved that it didn't work. So it would make no sense to start those shows at 7. But since they were advertising them, I don't know if they had changed them or not. But I did not hear any talk on Raw on Monday about going to 7. Next week's this sort of has something to do with this. Next week's AW show, which is the Blood and Guts show with the men and women's Blood and Guts matches. So that show will be a 2.5-hour show most likely. They had the TSN thing. I mean, it's not been announced in the United States. They did not announce on the show tonight. But TSN in Canada has earmarked 2.5 hours for the show. The only thing that I've heard from AW is that it will be a longer show. I didn't get like a 2.5-hour confirmation, but the TSN thing is probably a semi-confirmation of that, but I did get a confirmation that it will be going longer than usual. So anyway, the other rating would be the collision number, which we already talked about. 0.03 is it's bad. I mean, the one thing, the one thing that actually is a real story though, is that here we are, and the value of wrestling programming has taken a big hit. Because throwing out this week with the World Series and all the reasons why these numbers are down, and they won't be next week. The reality is this new system. I mean, the value is way down because number one. I mean. These stations, when they sell ads, they're selling ads based on 1849 numbers, okay? And these numbers are hurting bad, in comparison to before because of how this thing is counting. So that value of what the stations can recoup in ad money, I mean, we're talking about, these shows, like these shows are down 30-40% in that since this new system came into place in September. So the value of the shows in ad revenue is down 30-40%. I mean, this is not a small story. This is a gigantic story. The amount that these stations were paying in these contracts, whether it's SmackDown, I mean, the one that's probably okay is NXT because it's not a high dollar amount when it comes to, the rights fees. It's $34 million a year for a show that, we'll see what it does this week. I mean, it's been down, but again, it was going into the World Series, but it's lower. It went from being the darling, of CW. I mean, like this week, there's other things on CW now that are beating it. It's no longer the highest rated show on the station because of what's happened with these other shows that skew older. But for AW, man, this is the AW's big thing. When they used to, they had the bragging rights. You know what I mean? They would be beating everything on television, but the NBA on Wednesday, they would be doing fairly good on Saturday. I mean, compared to other things, I mean, they're one of the biggest entertainment shows of the week on cable. I mean, when you look at like the last 2 years for this week, because I was actually just charting that stuff. In 2023 for this week, I believe that they were the number 2 entertainment show behind Raw for the whole week. In 2024, I believe they were number 3. This year, 2025, this last week, I have number 20, and they're probably lower than number 20 because we're not getting the ratings for every show right now. So it's a huge drop in, not just number, because everything goes down in cable other than football, but it's a huge drop in comparison to the other shows in entertainment. Shows that it would beat, all the 90 Day Fiancé shows and Real Housewife shows and Below Deck, and the shows that are fairly big hits on cable. I mean, AEW Dynamite would routinely beat most, if not all, of their shows every week, and now they're way behind. So that's it's a troubling thing when your price is so high. So there's no great answer because the answer is that it's how Nielsen is doing this now, and that's not going to change. I mean, really, when it comes to the wrestling business, that's one of the biggest business stories of the year, and for long term, it's just huge because it's a business that relies on that revenue more than anything else, far more than anything else. So, the one good thing is they signed those deals last year because if the way the deals had come, if these deals would have been being negotiated in 2 months instead of a year ago, it would greatly hurt WWE as well, but it would greatly hurt AEW, and that's the new reality of everything going forward. So it's just each week it actually becomes a bigger story because it's not changing. So that's the deal.
Right, this past Tuesday, Ridge Holland went on his Twitter and he wrote, "I feel like I've just been hung out to dry after getting injured, working for another company on behalf of WWE. Added that my contract not being renewed, knowing that I wouldn't be able to wrestle for 7 months is brutal. Yes, they're taking care of the surgery and physical therapy, but let's be honest, it's a bare minimum after what we sacrificed for the company. Plus the possibility of having to get my neck fused too. Talk about getting totally fucked. And then the next day they called him and fired him."
Yeah, so the deal with him is he was, they told him he was done. As of November 14th, he would be paid through the end of this contract. They had the right to cut him earlier if they wanted to, but they decided that they would, let him go. He had signed a 1-year renewal at a much lower rate, which essentially, the way that went down was they were going to cut him a year ago, and he kind of worked out a deal with them where he would go to NXT for 1 year, and he would be paid less because he was in NXT than he had been paid before. And so they gave him another year, and they probably, in reality, had already probably decided that, okay, well, his name might help NXT a little bit because he's got main roster value. It didn't really help him. He wasn't that over. I mean, he did get over a little bit with got over with the Andre Chase thing, but then, I don't think that they ever really expected that to get over, and they didn't follow up and do anything with him. I mean, he'd been a lame duck for a while. Then he got hurt. So it became like a weird thing because I'm sure they were going to cut him, and it wouldn't have been an issue, because they would have, just not renewed his deal. Then he got hurt, so it changed everything. And so what happened here was they were, in your deal, you're not supposed to talk badly about the company in public. And so they felt that they now have the right to fire him. It's going to cost him, it'll either be 1 week's pay or 2 weeks' pay because he wasn't getting paid after November 14th anyway. So, but it's like, yeah, they they didn't need to do it. I guess they felt that they, I mean, however you want to look at it, they wanted to send a message to everyone out there that if you say anything bad, that you can be cut. And that's what happened. It's kind of screwed for him. I think one of the things, he talked about in that thing, his mortgage. I mean, he's got real life bills. The fact is that he's not going to be able to work at something physically for months and months. If it's next fused, we're talking about a year plus more that he would not be able to wrestle. I don't know what kind of demand there would be for him to wrestle anyway. It's when I look at the scene of everything, I mean, it's like I don't see him fit in with AEW. I don't see the independent scene is not anywhere near what it used to be. TNA, maybe yes, maybe no. The problem with TNA is that they're so beholden to WWE, and they may just think that, well, we don't want to get WWE. Not that I think WWE would be mad at them if they used him, but they may think that, and so he probably hurt himself with TNA, because of all this, and it's unfortunate that he's hurt at that level and can't work, and that he's not someone who is going to necessarily have a lot of options even when this is done. So it's it's just part of that. It's part of that the world of athletics. But my thought is that look at the company profits. Come on, you know what I mean? I mean, they're through the roof. They're ridiculous. And his contract isn't like it's high or anything. There's really no reason to at least keep him on through the rehab period, given that he was injured on the job. I mean, that's the key. He was injured on the job, and if he was somebody who had value to AEW, the reality is they would and wanted to go. Even if they wanted him gone, if he wanted to go to AEW and was healthy right now, there's a very good chance, because this is what happened with Brody Lee, that they would just freeze him, for the time off that he's not working due to this injury, because that's how they've done it with other people. But because he's not a prospect there, and that hurts his bargaining power. So that's the deal. I feel bad for him, obviously. Obviously I've been told the other side from them, which is essentially that he should have known from last year that the way everything went down, that he probably wasn't going to be under WWE much longer either way, and he was getting paid through the end of that WWE deal, and he should have, he made money there. I would say he made a great amount of money last year, but in other years, he, main roster money is good money, and their feeling is as well. When you know that this is happening, you should adjust your finances and everything like that. And at the end, like I may lose my mortgage. They weren't happy he said that. I'm sure it's true. I doubt he's making it up. But that's, I feel bad for him though, because I do believe that, again, he was injured. He was injured working for them. And there's been some people going like, he wasn't even paid extra for doing the TNA, which is true. That if WWE talent works for AAA, which is part of WWE anyway, or if they work for TNA, they don't get paid extra because everyone is on a guaranteed contract. You make this much. They book you as they see fit. It can be for other companies. It can be for that's how it works right now. And from their standpoint, the fact is that based on previous generations and even a year or two ago, the fact is that you are going to be working far less dates for that guaranteed money than you would have been even a year ago, because they've cut way back on shows. So because they've cut way back on shows, it's essentially for most people 1 day a week, that they might book you a second day a week, or for a TNA taping, or whatever the situation might be, or go AAA, or whatever the deal is. It's like you're still working a lot less dates than for most people they expected to work when they actually signed the deal in the first place.
All right, New Japan announced teams for the 2025 World Tag League, which starts on November 20th, ends on December 15th. 16 teams, 2 blocks. And Block A has Goto and Yoshihashi, who won in 2021, 2022, and 2023. Golden Oleg and Toru Yano, Yoda and Gabe Kidd, Evil and Don Fale, Taichi and Satoshi Kojima, El Desperado and Shuji Ishikawa, Shingo and Drill Maloney, and Yujiro Takahashi and Chase Owens. Okay, hold on. So this is some interesting stuff here, because you got both Evil and Fale and Yujiro Takahashi and Chase Owens, and they're actually going to be wrestling each other on the first night. So that's like that's some bad matches here, to say the least. This block is not a great block, but Shuji Ishikawa is certainly a big surprise. He's Desperado kind of made a tease of bringing in a giant partner, and Shuji Ishikawa is a large human. He's probably, I'd say 6'4", 6'5", and 280 maybe. I mean, for even for old days of wrestling, he was a large human. But for today's day of wrestling, he's kind of a giant, and he's also very old, 50 years old. But I don't believe he's ever worked in New Japan. He's worked everywhere else, or most everywhere else, at one point or another, and held championships most everywhere. But it is an intriguing name. It is somebody new. It is definitely a rare surprise, because this tournament, I believe he would be the only outsider. You could say Alex Zane in B block as an outsider, but Alex Zane has Alex Zane was in the tournament last year, and he has worked junior tours and things like that. He's not a New Japan regular. And Lance Archer also not a New Japan regular, but as a team, they have been a team in New Japan before, so they're not really surprises. So Block B is Oscar and Yuto Ice, Zack Sabre Jr. and Oiwa, Lance Archer and Alex Zane, Tanahashi and Phantasmo, Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura, Finley and Hiromu, Great Khan and Cal Newman, and Ren Narita and Sonata. Yeah, it's a better block. The Knockout Brothers, Yuto Ice and Oscar, are they're kind of like a hot act right now, and they're the current tag team champions. Zack Sabre and Oiwa are a great combination. Archer and Zane work very, very hard. Tanahashi, last run in most of the cities. Maybe the last time he'll be wrestling in most of those places. Umino and Uemura, really shouldn't need to do well. Finley and Hiromu is an interesting team, something new. Okan and Newman is an expected team, and as would be Sonata and Narita. Not a great tournament overall. Where was also the Taichi and Kojima team. Kojima is replacing Ishii, who was supposed to be in the tournament. He was not announced, but the plan was for him to be in the tournament. He suffered a dislocated shoulder in the match with Pac last Wednesday. He was holding his shoulder. I just thought, he's always holding something. And I'm sure a lot of times it's real because he's just hurting, but I just figured it was just another sell because he sells so realistic. But this one was actually a legitimate injury. So perhaps that's one of the reasons why the match with Pac wasn't as good as people expected it to be. It's because the dude was hurting, dislocated shoulder, kept going. Obviously he's going to keep going. I mean, he's just a different kind of person. He's going to keep going. And it was still a good match. All right, so the update on Blue Demon Jr. is he did do a press conference, and He basically was in a very serious car accident. He hit someone in the road when he was tired and doesn't remember anything afterwards. They came to rescue him, and in the hour it took to get to the hospital, he apparently was in really bad condition, life-threatening condition.
Life-threatening brain injury.
They said it was a brain injury. But he did do the press conference. He did walk to his car, and I guess the story is that his doctor is optimistic that he will be 100% and be able to wrestle again.
At some point.
But
he couldn't guarantee that.
He's taking the entire month off. He's going to meet again at the end of November. Obviously, wait until the doctor gives him the A-OK. But a very, very serious car accident. I believe last Monday is when it was.
Yeah, week Monday. Yeah. So, best wishes to him.
Best wishes to him. Very much so.
Yeah. That was, he gave everyone advice: do not drive when you're exhausted.
Yes.
So,
which is good advice.
Yeah, pull over on the side of the pull off on a side road, go into a parking lot, go to sleep. I do that all the time when I'm tired and all that when I'm driving. It's like the minute I feel tired, it's like I'm off that highway, next exit.
All right, El Santo.
Yeah, Santo, obviously got his farewell on December 13th, so he did his farewell shows in Europe over the weekend. He worked Friday and Saturday in London at York Hall, and then he worked Friday and Saturday at York Hall, and Sunday he worked in Berlin, Germany. And Bradley Craig, who's one of our friends in Scotland who came in for the Saturday show, said it was one of the most memorable shows he's ever seen as a wrestling fan. Just super, super hot crowds. They sold out York Hall, which is not a big place, but still, Rev Pro runs there and doesn't sell out. And most people who run there do not sell out. And Santo, he drew close to 3,000 in Germany, which is in Berlin, which is a very good crowd for Germany. I mean, I don't think anyone, all the independents in Germany, WXW and stuff, they don't ever come close to that. I mean, WWE obviously, AEW probably would if they went there, but still, it's not like he's on TV or anything. It's just, Santo still has popularity especially in the places that are Spanish language communities in Germany, which is one of the reasons that he drew. But the York Hall show, the second show I heard both shows were great. And, so he was there with his son teaming up, with Ciclone Ramirez Jr., wrestled Tejano Jr., Fishman's son, El Hijo de Fishman. Those were kind of like the main opponents that were there. So, it was a apparently very successful thing. It'll be interesting. Again, they booked the Plaza de Toros for Mexico City for his last match. I don't know, man. He's done 3 retirement matches in Mexico City. There's a thing called the Boy Who Cried Wolf. I don't know about that, but we'll see.
And Tanahashi's final opponent.
Yeah, we still don't know. I thought that they were going to announce on Tuesday. And Tuesday came, and he had a press conference, and he said, don't got an opponent, but we sold 31,548 tickets paid so far for the Tokyo Dome, which 2 months out it's the best number 2 months out for a Tokyo Dome show in over 25 years. Probably, because even when they were legitimately selling out the Tokyo Dome, and they did legitimately sell the Tokyo Dome in 2000 for the Okada Kota Ibushi show, it's a lot of tickets are sold the day of the show. So, I know that they were above 31,000 the day of the show, because I was actually at that Okada Ibushi show, and I believe they were 36,000 on the going into the last day, and they got to right at 40,000 paid, like 42, 43 in the building, which is about all that building's going to hold with the way that they set up and everything with the stage and the outfield and everything, the way that they do it. But yeah, the last time, there were shows like when Inoki retired, or when the Muto Takada show, which obviously sold out instantly in '95. that were bigger, but this is probably the biggest advance in around 25 years, for a Tokyo Dome show. Of course, Tanahashi retirement is not something that you can duplicate, but yeah, they're going to have a giant gate for this one. And the fact that they didn't announce it, it at least makes you think that Nakamura might be in play, because if it's Okada, there's no reason not to announce it. He basically said, sorry, we can't announce it. They asked if it's ongoing negotiations. He didn't even want to say a word about that, which tells me that the negotiations are ongoing and that they don't want to talk about it, and it's fragile negotiations. And fragile negotiations to me, man, it sounds like it's more likely to be WWE than AEW. AEW and New Japan, things might not be perfect, but they're on good terms. If it's Okada, it's like there's no reason to keep that one secret, I don't think. So if it's Nakamura, I don't think they want to say a word until that deal is concluded, because that deal could fall apart at any moment. So we'll see. Those are the leading candidates. I know some people thought Omega, when Omega did that interview with Tanahashi, but that was on the ways back. That was when he was there getting medical treatment there, and just went back there to do some video game work there and some commercials and stuff. The last time he went, and one of the things that he went was to do that video where and it's on the New Japan World site right now. It's like a 45-minute interview where him and Tanahashi sat down and just talked about a whole bunch of different things. It's really a shame, because one of the things he talked about was him and Kota Ibushi going back to New Japan for a big show in a tag team match, and Tanahashi was like obviously wanting that, and unfortunately that was tape before Ibushi got hurt, and I'm not saying it'll never happen, but it's if he, I don't know that Omega lasts as many years as it takes for Ibushi to come back. Maybe he doesn't, and he comes back as Ibushi. We're talking a couple years down the line, and I don't know how much longer Omega's going to be wrestling. I suppose he could come back in a couple of years, for one match. He probably could, but obviously they wanted the idea of doing some stuff this coming year, and that's unfortunately out of the question.
Right, Nate Diaz.
Well, it looks like he is the leading candidate. There's been a lot of people reporting that Jake Paul will be fighting him. They've already, in a boxing match. They've already done a boxing match. It was not a great fight. Jake Paul won it handily. I don't know what to say. He's got a name. It's Netflix, which means that people will watch it for essentially your Netflix subscription. It's probably going to be in December. But he is the favorite right now, from what everybody's saying, to be facing Jake Paul in the boxing match when Gervonta Tank Davis was ex-nayed by being sued by an ex-girlfriend, and over allegedly being beaten by him. And it's not the first time, or the second time, or the third time that this has happened with Davis. And it is interesting, because they did their thing, and it was we could not work with him. We're champions of women's boxing, and MVP Promotions has done whatever you think of Jake Paul. MVP Promotions, which is Jake Paul's company, they have done a great job promoting women's boxing. Women's boxing has never been bigger. The top women, Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, never been in a position to make more money. Holly Holm at 44 is going back to box and going for the WBA 135-pound championship, as a matter of fact, as a boxer. So it'd be her. She's doing. I think she's doing. This would be a new one. I think she's doing the. She had said, and they'd announced that she was going to be wrestling on this November 29th. Real American Wrestling, Real American Freestyle show in Chicago. They'd announced Holly Holm there like maybe a week ago, and then this boxing, which would be, I believe, it's in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I think it's January 2nd or 3rd when she's fighting. So I don't know that anyone's done freestyle wrestling and then fought for, at a professional level. There's hardly ever been a professional level freestyle wrestling, and fought for a boxing world title, and probably could fight MMA. If somebody made an offer, all at the same time. I don't know. That's a great idea, but it is something. It is something unique. So yeah, that's a different show. That's MVP promotion show.
All right, before we go to Dynamite, BJ Penn.
Yeah, BJ Penn got arrested for a fight on yesterday morning at like 1 a.m., so really Monday night, with a 45-year-old man. Police were there. He was arrested. His 6th arrest in the last, I don't know, I think it's either his 5th or 6th arrest since Memorial Day weekend. It's a really sad situation, to say the least. So, yeah, that's what's happening there.
All right, we got a lot of news to talk about from this Dynamite show. The big news before the show started was they made the announcement that they are going to be doing best of 3 qualifiers for the advantage in Blood and Guts.
They also announced...
Well, we'll get to the title in a second. So first off, let's get to this.
Okay.
So the weird thing was, earlier in the day, they announced that they were going to do several matches. Megan Bayne, Queen Aminata.
Well,
hold on. Jamie Hayter and Sky Blue. Orange Cassidy and Claudio Castagnoli. And Darby Allin and Daniel Garcia. That's what was announced. Then later in the day, they announced that Queen Aminata was injured. And so she was out of the tournament and apparently maybe out of Blood and Guts. And
She's out of Blood and Guts. She's out of Blood and Guts. I mean, Sure, was taking her spot.
And then they just didn't do Jamie Hayter and Sky Blue. That is apparently now going to take place on Collision.
Okay, so when I got the notice, that match was going to be on Collision. Because it was 2 men's matches and 1 women's match on Dynamite, which is exactly what happened. And then Collision would have 2 women's matches and 1 men's match, if needed. And it'd be like, and it would have 1 women's match, and then the 3rd one if needed on Collision. So that's that. Whatever it was, long before the show started, that had already been changed.
So now it is going to be Jon Moxley and Roderick Strong on Collision, because the men went 1-1.
Right, which Moxley should win, because War Games matches, and this is essentially the War Games, are, from a dramatic standpoint, are better when the heels have the...
That's true, and no one cares anymore, because they just do whatever they want now, everywhere. And then on Collision, we also have Jamie Hayter and Sky Blue, and if Sky Blue wins, then their team gets the order of entry advantage. If Jamie Hayter wins, they will then do a Harley Cameron Tekla match, and that will decide the advantage.
I could see on the women's one, that one going either way. The men's one, I'm pretty sure, they're going to go with the heel, the Death Rider team, with 1-man advantage.
Roderick Strong is not beating Jon Moxley.
Yeah. On the other one, you could go either way. You really could. Harley Cameron on this show pinned Athena. I would hate, but they just did the same thing with Bandito. I would hate for her to win, get a little momentum, and then lose to Tekla. I'm not saying that, I just, it's one of those things where I'm not a fan of giving someone, I'm not a fan of 50-50 booking. I mean, to me, booking should be, you have a destination and you have people be successful until they get to their destination. And when they've gotten to this big match that they're being built for, and if they lose that big match, then they can, in turn, help other people who need to get to this big match, championship level and things like that. 50-50 booking is just a way to keep stuff going. I mean, sometimes, like, if you're in a feud, a regular feud, and you're doing a lot of matches, like the Smart Briscoe Fletcher thing, in that case, 50-50 booking is fine. But when it's with different people, and you give someone, like again with Bandito, it's like Bandito, got that big win on pay-per-view where he pinned Okada, and it's like, wow, that's great, he's got momentum, everyone's behind him, and the first thing they do is beat him that very next Wednesday. And it's like, I'm not against Okada beating him, in the singles match. I actually think it makes sense for him to challenge for that title and then lose after he pinned him in the tag, but I would never have done it that quick. I'd wait, 5 weeks or something. So Bandito is kind of like, he doesn't cool, you don't cool him off just as he's getting hot. That's the thing I don't like, is you get someone, you give him some momentum, and then you beat him, because that way nobody advances when it comes to wins and losses. I mean, wins and losses are far from everything, but they are still a tool that can be used. So, but anyway, that's, like with Harley Cameron getting this pin, I just don't think that, I'd like to, I just beat her because, well, we just gave her a big win over Athena, so now we can beat her. I'm not really a fan of that booking.
All right, so then the show opens up with Tony Schiavone announcing that there's a new championship, the National Championship.
They announced that earlier in the day, and
that's all fine and good, but this was the opening announcement of the show. There's a national championship that is being added.
Yeah, well,
which, by the way, later in the show, I believe it was MVP got the name wrong multiple times.
He called it international.
Yes,
yeah.
They can't even keep it straight. We have another belt.
That's him. It was made very clear it's the national title. We don't need another singles championship. The idea behind it is that this title will be defended in multiple promotions, but the international title, the continental title, the Triple Crown title, I'm probably leaving out a championship somewhere, were all supposed to be defended in multiple promotions. So it's like, another singles title.
And aren't they going to split apart the unified title when it's time for the Continental Classic anyway?
I don't know.
Well, they're supposed to, right?
Well, the Continental, it might be the unified title in the Continental Classic. I don't know. That's coming up in, that should be after, that tournament starts right after Blood and Guts, so we're a couple weeks away from that one. So there will be, so they can't do a tournament for this championship because they're doing a tournament already. So they're going to do a Casino Battle Royal on Full Gear, and the winner of that becomes the first national champion. Will be defending it in multiple promotions in theory. Remember when they unified those titles? They were going to be defended in Ring of Honor and New Japan and AEW, and they'd be the first championship recognized by all three, and they split up those titles right away. And, so then they merged more titles to become the unified. Now they're adding another title. I don't know.
I know. It's too many belts. We don't need it.
That's the nature of the beast with every single company, whether it's WWE or New Japan or AEW. Hey, somebody joked to me that like CMLL's got like over 20 belts, and look how great they're doing, and they are. But the one thing with the CMLL belts is that they're different weight class belts. So from a legitimacy standpoint, like if they were going to do a thing in AEW, which they won't do, okay, but if they were going to do a thing where, let's say, you have heavyweight title, cruiserweight title, or whatever, welterweight title, lightweight title, whatever, like a UFC, that wouldn't be too many belts because you have weight class championships. But when you have like just all these belts that I don't even know what they mean. It's like you've got your world title, and then the idea of a mid-card belt and a mid-card champion who almost never, although lately that has changed, which is a good thing. You've got your champions in theory, your other champions in theory should be your top contenders for the world title, and for the most part, they don't get world title shots. It's not like Okada's been getting world title shots, and he's had this title for the whole year, right? He hasn't lost it. Or he won, he had his title that ended up being merged with the Kenny Omega title, the international, which doesn't exist anymore. But it's like, in theory, Okada beats Omega, has 2 belts. Shouldn't he be challenging for the world title? So it's like, it's another championship where the guy who holds it doesn't challenge for the world title. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's like WWE. It's what, you copy WWE. You're not copying championship wrestling from Florida, where the Florida champion, Southern champion would be challenging for the world title.
So anyway, out comes Samoa Joe to kill Tony Schiavone. Him and the Ops come out, and of course they're going to murder him when out comes Hangman to make the save. And then Joe kind of cuts a promo on him and says it's going to work out better. We're going to take out both you guys at once. They hit the ring. Eddie and Hook make the save. They know that this match is going to be the main event for later on. And then Hook grabs a mic and he challenges the Ops to put the belts on the line tonight. And Joe flips out, accepts the challenge, and away we go to the main event. So we had the first in the best of 3 Blood and Guts Advantage Battle Series. Orange Cassidy versus Claudio. Very good match. They went back and forth.
It was a really good match. Some really good creative stuff. The way that they worked. That one move that turned into the Stun Dog Millionaire thing, that was a spot that I've never seen. Some of the stuff on the suplex where he was walking around. I've seen it, but it's rare. And then he had him in the suplex spot where he walked up the steps, which I think I've seen him do that before. But again, those are pretty rare spots.
Claudio ended up hitting the pop-up uppercut as Orange went for the Orange Punch, pinned him. And so they had the advantage in the Advantage Series. But there are 2 more Advantage matches to determine who has the advantage. Still to come. Renee interviewed Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher and Don Callis. Mark said he wanted another match for the title. He got a response from Don. He wanted a response from Kyle. And he said, you kicked me in the balls. That can't be fulfilling for you. So why don't you try to be a real man?
He compared to making out with your sister.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
He said, let's do it again at Full Gear. No DQs. And Kyle says, I like that idea. And Don says, you know what? I like it too, but, there's something in it for both of you, but I need something out of this, Mark. And Briscoe says, what do you want? You want me to put my career on the line? And Don says, I don't want you to put your career on the line because I like you as a wrestler. So what I want is, when you lose at Full Gear, you must leave the conglomeration and join the Don Callis family. So it's title versus join the family.
Well, I expected that Briscoe will win, but...
God damn, he better. Yeah. He should have won at the last show, for being honest.
Well, I think that they wanted to save the championship change for later in New Jersey. So the thing is that there is a way, to have that deal where you're a babyface working for the heel group. It's been done before, and it actually can create some really good storylines. I'm not saying that they will have really good storylines, but the potential is there. But I think that Briscoe should win this match. So, but it's a cool stipulation.
Renee was with the Bucks, Don Callis and Josh Alexander. She asked if they joined the Don Callis family because they were teaming with Alexander in this $1 million match at the show. And Don says, don't put him on the spot. He says, when I saw what this company was doing to these all-time greats, treating them like marks and jobbers, I said if it took every last penny in my account, I'd make sure they got the treatment they deserve. And the rest of the family came in, and Okada shows up, and Matt says, we just need some more time. And so Don says, let's give them their space. And everybody leaves except Okada. And Okada says, don't take too much time.
No to Kesha, by the way.
No to Kesha. We had Mercedes and Athena against Harley and Willow, first round of the women's tag title tournament. They actually got the heat on Harley, hot tagged to Willow. Then they got the heat on Harley a second time. Willow got the hot tag a second time, so they didn't even switch back and forth. They just got the heat on the same moment twice. And then finally they do these big spots at the end. Billy Starks run down to the ring. She's got the belt for Athena, but Chris Statlander runs down to make the save. Athena gets the belt, but Willow hits her with a Dr. Bomb. Harley hits her with that's her finishing maneuver and gets the pin. So
Crossroads.
Mercedes and Athena are out of the tournament. A big upset.
So that means the tournament now can in fact end at Full Gear, because it couldn't end in Full Gear if Mercedes was, because Mercedes wrestling Chris Statlander Full Gear. So
I thought we talked about this the other day and you said she could wrestle twice.
No, I said she wasn't going to wrestle twice. I mean, in theory she could, but I knew that they wouldn't do that. So when Sky Blue and Julia Hart won in their first round match, I thought that Willow and Cameron were going to win because I didn't think they would put heel against heel. So either, the winner of this will probably tell you who wins the other bracket, because the other bracket, if it's a babyface it needs to go through, it's Tony Storm's team. But if Willow's team is in there, then one of the heel teams has to go through on that side. So it doesn't have to. You can do face versus face, but more often than not in wrestling, whether it's WWE or AEW, they do kind of make it predictable by who's the face and who's the heel in these tournament situations. I thought this match was great, by the way. I thought they Athena was awesome in this match, and Willow has all the charisma. But yeah, I thought that this match overachieved. It didn't look great it looked fine on paper. Mercedes is really good. Athena's really good. Willow was very good. So, but it really delivered. The crowd was very into it most of the way. Harley Cameron getting a surprise pin. I think people would have believed Willow getting a pin over Athena, but I don't think anyone expected Harley to get the pin. It also could set up Athena and Harley in a singles match at Final Battle in December. So, because they need to set something up for that already. So it both eliminates them, allows Mercedes to only wrestle once at the pay-per-view and get out of the tournament, and also sets up a pay-per-view, not a pay-per-view, but a live special championship match on the Ring of Honor show.
Tony calls out Shelton Benjamin and Lashley as he talks about the new national title, and he says this brings up an interesting scenario for the Hurt Syndicate. MVP does his long promo, bringing up Paul Orndorff and Briscoe and Dusty Rhodes and Wally McDaniel, the national title. He says nobody is more iconic than Bobby Lashley. Nobody is better than Shelton. I'm sure that Bobby Lashley's going to win this title and go defend it in various indies as well as around the world. That's crazy.
Man, I hope whoever wins it is someone who can lose it.
Probably, yeah. Ricochet and Gates of Agony. There's someone who can lose. Ricochet and Gates of Agony show up, and he does a long promo, and MVP says nobody cares what you have to say.
I wouldn't be shocked if Ricochet ends up winning it.
And it's just like this segment didn't need to be on the show. They just wanted to do something for this deal. It went on a long time.
I think they wanted to.
It was fine.
They wanted to get MVP in their promo and Ricochet in their promo, so that's why I was there. Get them on TV.
We had Daniel Garcia and Darby Allin best of 3 Blood and Guts Advantage Battle Series match, and Darby won with the Scorpion Deathlock. He reversed Garcia's Scorpion Deathlock. He got his ass kicked the entire match, just destroyed as always. Pac interfered near the end, but he got back in the ring and got the submission. And so Pac then hits the ring. Orange comes down to make the save. Wheeler kills Orange. Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly come down. Moxley kills Kyle. Death Riders kill Orange and Darby. Moxley throws Kyle in the ring. Roddy makes a save, and he helps clear the ring because it's Moxley and Roddy in the final match of the Advantage Series on Collision.
Yeah, Darby and Garcia was pretty darn good match too. That was pretty creative.
Then we had the actual best thing on the show, which is FTR comes out for this promo, and they call out Brodito, but they cut backstage, and Brodito are locked in a room. And Stokely's standing outside the door, and the first question is, how do you get locked into a room from the outside? That's number one.
Yeah.
And number two, even if you can see the doorknob, and there's no lock on it. So they're acting like they're stuck in this room. So Dak says, well, they can't be here tonight. But we got the next best thing. Bandito's family's in the crowd. It's Grandma Bandito and Gravity. And he goes, he does a deal where he asks Grandma a question, but then doesn't let her answer. Asks her a question, doesn't let her answer. And then finally he says, you know what, maybe we can adopt you as our grandma. I want a kiss. And she gives him the most polite slap you've ever seen. Gravity jumps the rail, goes after him. They start beating his ass. And suddenly they cut backstage, and Stokely's standing by this locked door. And all of a sudden, Brody punches his hole right through the door. Stokely freaks out and goes running. They break out of the room. They rush down the ring. This punch through the door was so awesome.
Okay, but here's the thing. How does a punch through the door unlock the door?
Because then you reach down, you unlock it.
Did he do that?
Well, he was close enough.
Okay.
We didn't see that, but like he could have easily reached down and opened the door. But the punching through the door was incredible.
If the door's locked.
Well, I mean, it was locked from the outside. So if you can reach the handle on the outside, you can let... There's a lot of problems when he punched through a door and it was great. It's the best Dynamite moment of the year. And Bandito and Brody ran down and sent the heels packing. I thought this thing was awesome. It was great. Then we have Megan Bayne and Mina Shirakawa, best of 3 Blood Guts Advantage Battle Series match. Tony Storm on commentary. So she's doing commentary. They're doing this match, and Marina shows up, attacks Tony at the desk. Mina's distracted, runs right into a lariat, running powerbomb, which actually she almost got killed on because Megan almost dropped her, but she saved her. And then she pinned her. So that's one for that team. And then Marina beats on Tony. They double team Mina. Tony makes a save with a chair. Triangle of Madness hits the ring. Jamie, Harley, and Willow run down. Wild brawl. Mercedes runs down, but changes her mind. Statlander comes down, beats her up, and then she hits the ring with the baby faces and sends the heels back in. This was exactly what they did with the men about 30 minutes earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, almost exactly.
It was pretty much exactly. Then the main event was the Ops versus Hook and Eddie Kingston and Hangman Page for the Trios titles. Now, last week they did that match, and Hook tapped immediately. And they did the thing on Collision, like, what happened? He goes, you get caught, you just got to tap. And so I thought, okay, I've watched 1,000 AEW shows. I know exactly what's happening. Hook's getting a win this week. And instead, he got put in the rack, and he submitted quickly again. Yeah. So I don't know what the story is. Like, everyone's going, oh, they've given up on Hook. They've not given up on Hook. There's some story going on here. Because he's tapped quickly 2 weeks in a row in a Dynamite big match. And I don't know where they're going with this, but something's going on. So anyway, they lost. And then the show ended with an announcement out of nowhere that Hobbs and Hangman are facing a last man standing match next week. Because there was a spot where Hobbs had given Hangman a world's strongest slam off the ramp through a table and killed him. And I guess Tony saw that and decided they must do last man standing. So that got rid of Hangman here on the show. And that was the Dynamite show. So a lot of announcements, a lot of matches and news. And I thought as a show overall it was fine. I didn't think it was like one of the better Dynamites. A lot happening there on that show. Then we had the NXT show, which also had a lot happening. So they had Tatum Paxley, Lola Vice, and Izzy Dame versus Fatal Influence. And this was one of those choreographed matches that they just did at 1,000 miles an hour. 5 million moves. And finally at the end, Izzy ended up getting hit by JC's big, whatever she does, big punch.
Discus.
And she pinned her. So JC pinned Izzy, which led to Tatum feeling very bad about it later. And that was that. We had Los Americanos showing up in the NXT locker room. And they run into Josh Briggs, who cuts a promo on him. So El Grande Americano and Los Americanos are 100% babyfaces in NXT. Totally cheered. Everybody loved them. They worked babyfaces. They're a babyface act here. We had Lei Ying Lee then challenging Kalani Jordan after what she did to Jordan Grace last week. And Kalani came out for a promo afterwards. And she did this long heel promo. And like her delivery as a heel, I guess, was fine. But the big problem was, it was one of those things where you could see she rehearsed this very long promo, and she was just going to recite her promo. Because she actually was getting like a lot of heat and chants, but man, she did not react to the crowd one bit. Didn't acknowledge them, nothing. Just ran through her promo, the usual because of the fans promo. And she said she was not going to defend her title at Gold Rush because nobody was worthy to wrestle for her title. Made fun of Lei Ying Lee, and then said fans could call her whatever she wanted, but they had to call her champion, and she left. Had an OTM promo, and they want to go through all these different teams. Chase U shows up, starts yelling at him. Andre Chase told him to stop pissing these guys off, so I guess OTM's going to kill him next. Then we had El Grande Americano and Josh Briggs, and it's a fun match. It's El Grande Americano. He tries to do lucha. And by the way, in the opening segment with Josh Briggs, he did the entire promo with Josh Briggs in Spanish. Entire thing start to finish. They put subtitles up on the screen. So he speaks fluent Spanish. He's working like a luchador. Fans were super into this match because they just love this guy. Booker's out of his mind. And finally, Briggs threw a jacket at El Grande, shoved him into the ropes outside, goes for a lariat. Tavian Heights hits the ring, gets inside the ring. The referee goes to get him out. Los Americanos lay out Briggs outside. And then El Grande submitted him and got the win. So they wanted to give him a win because he's defending the speed title against Jasper Troy next week. So then Kalani meets with Ren and Kendall and asks if they watched her promo. They said they did, but we're busy. They leave. So Ava shows up and says, Kalani, we got to talk. She says, it's not your call whether you defend the title or not. And Kalani said, well, it's not your decision either. You're the head of NXT, not TNA. And then Tyra May Steele walked up, told her to stop disrespecting Ava, and they got signed to a match for later on in the show. We had Trick Williams, Ricky Saints face-to-face for their match next week. And the face-to-face was fine. It wasn't nearly as good as last week when they did the contract signing, but it was fine. Basically, Trick ran him down and said, you're a man of the people, but the title doesn't belong to somebody like you. You look like a fan. You should buy a belt off WWE shop. Vowed to be the last man standing. And then Ricky said, you know what? Enough of this talking. Let's handle it right now. And so they both leave the satellite area, and they get into another giant brawl. Trick ends up hitting with a pipe. Ricky sells it big, so Ricky's going to be going into the match next week with some sort of injury. We then had Zari and Ren Sinclair in a speed tournament match. Of course, a 3-minute time limit. And Ren ends up putting her in a Fujiwara armbar with 50 seconds left. Zari escapes, hits a spear, F5, gets the pin, and then she told Sol Ruka she was going to win the title back for both of them. We then had Kalani Jordan and Tyra May Steele. And Kalani worked 1,000 times better as a heel than as a babyface. Had a good match with Tyra, probably the best match he's had in NXT. And Tyra made a big comeback, hit a reverse Samoan drop for 2, and then Kalani sent her to the buckle, split-legged moonsault, and got the pin. And then after the match, Santino appeared on the big screen, and he said he'd heard Kalani say she wasn't defending her title at Gold Rush. And he said that Ava was not the GM, but he was the TNA Director of Authority. And so he said at Gold Rush, you will be facing Lei Ying Lee and Jordan Grace in a triple threat match, because they love their multi-person matches. We had Javon Evans and Saquon. They had a long match. It was an excellent match by the end. Back and forth early, and then it became House of Torture. And pretty much everybody from Dark State starts hitting the ring. They're pulling Javon out of the ring. They start running at him. He avoids this guy. He avoids that guy. He avoids this guy. They all crash and burn. And then he hits the cutter, springboard cutter, and gets the pin. So very good match. Good win for Javon. And probably the best match of the show. Probably by a wide margin. We had Ethan Page and Chelsea in the ring for the celebration of their AAA mixed tag titles. And they talked about being the greatest Canadians who'd ever lived. And they got this giant cake in the ring. And Chelsea says, as a fellow Canadian, I know we're despised. Jealousy is a disease. And she says, you know what? I wish that Joe was here. And Ethan says, don't say that guy's name. He ruins everything. And of course, the fans start chanting for the cake. So Ethan gets a stick, and he starts facing the cake, and he goes, say his name. We'll take care of this guy. And so she ends up saying his name, but he doesn't come out of the cake. He comes out from the entranceway. And he says, you took my advice the wrong way. You got caught up in your own egos. You forgot what real talent looks like. And Ethan says, you want a shot at my title at Gold Rush? And Joe says, I want a title shot, but I want a shot at the AAA mixed tag team titles. And Chelsea said, there are two of us and one of you. You need a partner. And so Joe says, is that right? Well, I got somebody tonight. I believe in Thea. And Thea, of course, jumps out of the cake. She has pies, puts pies in the face of Chelsea and Alba, wipes them out with an eye cross. Joe then puts a pie in Ethan's face. The two of them wave their hands, celebrate. So it will be Chelsea and Ethan Page versus Joe Hendry and Thea Hale for the AAA mixed tag team titles at the Gold Rush show. And that's coming up over 2 weeks, starting next week. Next week's got Ricky Saints and Trick Williams, Last Man Standing. El Grande Americano Jasper Troy for the speed title. Fallon Henley and Skylar Ray for the women's speed tournament. Tavion versus Josh Briggs. Tatum Paxley and the Culling will appear, and Blake Monroe will do an interview. So that's next week's week 1 of Gold Rush. So that's the story, everybody. And no Collision spoilers, because Collision is live on Saturday. And so
Wendy's. Download today and get started.
Triple H has cried more tears than Nia Jax at Subway when all that's left is a salad. Welcome back to Bulk Wrestling. And it is 10 reasons why TKO should fire Triple H. This is in light of the recent monstrosities, the ratings, which will be a part of these reasons, but key thing to remember, this is why TKO should fire him. So it's not why I would fire him, even though I do factor that into some of the points, but TKO, baby. TKO. So let's get into it. Reason number 1, record low SmackDown rating, 933k. Now, if you want to hear us in greater detail, go into that. There's a video on the channel where we bash the hell out of Triple H and current WWE, but this is something that was unthinkable. Now, let's just call it. I mean, this was literally unthinkable years ago. I mean, you couldn't have dreamed of SmackDown doing this right now. Obviously, on Fox Sport 1, when they first went to Fox, it did like 254,000, but again, I think that's still really bad. Can't really remember the exact ins and outs of that, but it's essentially like a channel I believe you have to hit like the red button for, so I understand why that was poor, but this is a normal SmackDown, folks. In 2020, well, I say normal, nothing normal, but it's fucking shite. But the point is, normal airtime, at Halloween, if it was good, people would watch it, there's no excuses, and if TKO want to make money, then it's a better product, and with a better product, you get better ratings, and we're hitting record lows, and that's because of the product, and the guys that Triple H has got, right? And that's going to bring us to reason number 2. He hasn't created 1 star. Not 1 star. And that's regardless, right, of what you think of Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes. Roman Reigns was created with McMahon. No two ways about it. And we all think on this channel that Roman Reigns is massively overrated, right? Cody Rhodes is not a star. A star doesn't bring in these viewerships, right? Facts. Gunther has been made a world champion on the Triple H's watch. Not a star. Jey Uso has been made a world champion. Not a star. Right? Damian Priest also made a world champion. Not a star. Countless other guys that have feuded for world titles or had prominent roles. Not a star. There is not, I mean, who? Doesn't matter if it's a man, doesn't matter if it's a woman. Who is a star? Stars make money. Stars bring in viewership, bring in demand, bring eyeballs to the product, create memorable moments, memorable matches. There's nothing. You get nothing, as the Nature Boy would say. Reason number 3, there isn't a single story. We went through this the other day. We scanned both Raw and SmackDown. Where are the stories? It's just guys and gals wrestling each other. Long match here, long match there. 50-50 booking. There's no stories attached to it. There is fucking nada. Honestly. I'm not, I mean, see throughout wrestling history, it's not like during every single year, every single feud has had a story, right? But the fact of the matter is this, the stuff that mattered had stories at the bare minimum. Now we don't even have one. Drew McIntyre jobbing it to Cody Rhodes ain't a story, right? What's happening on Raw ain't a story. I look at both mid-card belts, no stories. I look at both women belts, no stories. Tag belts, no. People that don't feud with nothing on the line, no belts, no stories. How the fuck do you not have one? 1. Matches aren't stories, right? There's a reason why there's 933,000 people left, man. Because it's shite. Reason number 4. Making ticket prices unjustifiable. Right, now, even if the product was fantastic, I still think the ticket prices are a joke, right? And like I said, this is 10 reasons why TKO should fire them. We've seen attendance dry up for these shows in the last few months and weeks, right? And with the ratings continuing to go down, with the product continuing to get worse literally by the week, by the show, then they're going to make less money, TKO. And at that point, you have to question Triple H, because he's the guy running things. He's the chief content officer. He's the guy that takes credit for things when they're going well. So you've got to take the blame from when they're going wrong. And a lot's going wrong. And TKO's all about making money. And the fact of the matter is this, TKO would make more money with literally anybody else in charge. So I think Triple H's days are fucking numbered. And I can't wait till the guys away, man. Cannot wait. Reason number 5, self-centered is Triple H. I honestly feel like most of these moments and stars and pay-per-views, title victories that people win, they're literally sacrificed for Triple H. It's like no one gets to bask in their own glory. And yeah, they're all jobbers. Yeah, he's no creator star. Yeah, there's no memorable moments. But see, as soon as they win their titles or they get their moments, or their Mania moments or something, picture of Triple H, finger poke, Ollie put the belt on you, Ollie put the ring on you, WrestleMania, poster, I'm on it. All these other things, I'm on it. Hulk Hogan dies, I'll do a voiceover. Triple H just shoehorning his way into absolutely everything. Now, I'm not saying Triple H can't be on some things. Of course he can. But not everything. And he's pretty much on everything. Reason number 6. Record low Raw viewerships on Netflix. Netflix began, in my opinion, not with a good number, but by God, they would take the numbers they were doing back in January every day of the week compared to this shit. It keeps hitting record lows. 2.3s are the lowest. It'll soon be under 2. And that's worldwide, by the way. That is unacceptable. I think some people forget. SmackDown is on the USA Network, which is just the States, but Raw is worldwide. So take it as you will. But for me, if you're actually crunching the Netflix American numbers for Raw, it would be already under a mil. Would have to be. Would fucking have to be. Reason number 7. ESPN/Netflix will pull the plug. Right? They're big time deals, paying a lot of money, and if you're not making them money, they're going to pull the plug. And it just stems back to reason number 4 about making the ticket prices unjustifiable. You can have the ticket prices, right, as high as you fucking want. See people paying it, then that's why they're high. But see when they don't pay it, and you're losing money hand over fist, then that's what's going to happen. And it's the same with ESPN and Netflix. You're not putting on a good product, Triple H. So people aren't going to spend $30 a month on ESPN for one fucking pay-per-view that's shite. The arenas are emptying. People aren't even watching on ESPN. And it's the same with Netflix. The viewership, they're shocking. They're going to pull the plug. Just like, Fox pulled the plug, right? And again, that's not all Triple H's fault. McMahon's got to do blame with that as well. But at the same time, the best ratings on Fox came when McMahon was at charge. They're just continuing to go down. There's nothing even stagnant about it, man. If you look at like wrestling ratings throughout the past, like in the 90s, New Generation, they were not great. Attitude Era, boom. Coming to the Attitude Era, going down. But from the Ruthless Aggression Era right through to like, the early to mid 2010s, they were very consistent. They held. Like, yeah, some ratings were poor and some ratings were gash, right? No two ways about it. But for the most part, they held. For the last couple of years, it doesn't matter what company it is, the ratings are just on the downward spiral. It's almost like as we go further and further into the near future, wrestling is just, it's dying out. And see, unless no one is willing to change and bring it back to its glory days, it will fucking die. Like, literally, there's no comeback. We are at a breaking point for professional wrestling where it may never recover. I mean, I think we're already at that point. I don't see how we're going to. I mean, it's alright, Russo talking about JCW, but it just doesn't have the reach. You would need Russo and a bunch of guys to go in and take over WWE with the backing and the history to make it work. Not some juggalo promotion. That's what we're dealing with here. Reason number 8, TKO is backing the wrong horses, and what happens when horses get sick? They get put down. And I tell you what, that entire backroom staff at WWE needs put out its misery. The Paul Heymans, the Triple H's, the Bruce Pritchards, the Michael Hayeses, the Gregory Helmses, all these. I mean, Candice LeRae as a producer, Shawn Michaels. They all need gone. It needs a clean slate, right? And we've got people commenting off. It's more than just moving a few wrestlers about. We know this. We've been saying this for fucking years. It's not just a case of we put him in the main event, things will be alright. It's for top to bottom. You need to get rid. I'd release the entire roster. Fuck it. I don't even want to make excuses, right? Honestly, the only guy I'd probably keep is Cena, because I'd be like, John, see these 4 dates you've got left for your 4 dates? I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to try and fix this year you've had, because it's been pish. Reason number 9, they're burning money. TKO likes making money, not burning money. And with ticket sales the way they are going, they're not making anywhere near enough money. But again, I think they've realised with WWE is that it's dying, but they can make money over the short term. And it looks like that term could already be up. And the final reason, I think this is the biggest reason for me, he can't fix it. And he won't fix it. Triple H is going to persist with what he's been doing. The ratings have been nosediving for years at this point, right? The product has been so fucking stale. And even though Raw keeps hitting record low ratings and SmackDown keeps hitting record low ratings, there is no sign of change. He talks about landscape changing. Nothing's changing, son. You're not doing anything. It seems someone refuses to change, right? It doesn't matter if it's in sport, entertainment, or whatever. If you can't change as a human being or in your job, you tend to get replaced or forgotten about or whatever. Or people fall out with you. And because the key thing to evolution, right? There's a mystery, is change. Learn to adapt. Triple H has failed in a fucking monument. I cannot believe how bad it is. I'm sick of talking about it, but everybody watching this video, even the fucking losers, the 933,000 people watching SmackDown, there is not one person that would do a worse job than Triple H, and I fucking mean that, because anything different would be better than the same old pish. Leave your thoughts down below. 10 reasons why TKO will need to fire Triple H. Should fire him. Call it, you man. Peace.
Are you ready? No, I said, are you ready? Triple H has claimed that they do not write shows to create great matches. He says that they only tell stories. Well, WWE are telling one story, and that is the story of Pinocchio. And you may have guessed it based on the size of Triple H's fucking nose. He is playing the main character because this guy is nothing but a liar. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. That's the story that WWE are telling you. The story of Pinocchio, the lying guy, the guy that told lies, and his nose got bigger and bigger and bigger, because that is what's happening to Triple H. Soon, he won't need a sledgehammer to bury people, because his nose will be fucking 18 foot tall. He'll just be whacking them with that instead.
Did CM Punk bends over to Triple H and says, tell
tell me when I'm telling lies, and then Triple H proceeds to tell lies, and then shoves his nose clean up CM Punk's
Yeah,
arse.
I mean, we've seen brown nosers in the wrestling business before, but Triple H could be the legitimate definition of a brown noser. His nose could be as brown as it gets with how far he is shoving this thing up people's arse. But for this guy to come out, he claims that WWE are telling stories. They don't even have one story. We don't have one story. Never mind stories in terms of plural. We don't even have one. We don't have an individual story. Never mind multiple stories. So this guy really just he likes the sound of his own voice. Fuck him. He's the worst thing to happen to wrestling. Bret Hart was right all along. We just didn't know it.
I take it back, Brett. I bury Brett for a lot of things, but honestly, everything he said about Triple H, outside of the 4 out of 10 thing, is pretty much true, isn't it?
Aye, and Cody Rhodes,
the carrying the bags, the brown nosing, it's through the roof. And before we move on to Cody Rhodes, let's actually just take a minute here and try and think of a current storyline that they've got. So we'll start with Raw. Nothing.
nothing. There is hee-haw. There is absolutely not one thing going on.
Seth Rollins getting an injury and
Not a story.
Yeah, it's something that couldn't be helped.
Two guys in a faction, not a story.
Yep. Lyra Valkyria and Bayley acting retarded, not a story.
Charlotte and Alexa pretending to be friends is not a story.
Dominic, Rusev and Penta, not a story. Dragon Lee and AJ Styles versus the Judgment Day, not a story. That's pretty much sums up Raw. There's nothing happening there. We'll move to SmackDown because Triple H doesn't do NXT. That's Shawn Michaels.
Not that there's any stories around there either, to be honest. So
No, but I would say if I was to pick out the three, that NXT definitely's got something going on.
name it.
No, well, I couldn't name you one right now, but
Right, go.
I'm talking about
Right, SmackDown, main event scene, no stories, just McIntyre just jobbing it to Cody Rhodes at every single show. Cody Rhodes, you're lucky the guy shows up, not a story going on there. Oh, look, Jacob Fatu was attacked. Oh, that's a story. Nah, Jacob Fatu's no longer seen. Jacob Fatu's off TV, nobody cares, there's no story, there's no investigation, there's no looking into it. Oh, but Nick Aldis asked Cody Rhodes if he'd done it. Oh, he asked Cody, did you do it? Cody said no, and he was like, oh, that's good enough for me, quarterback QB1, so no story going on there. Oh, but look, the Wyatt 6 and the MTF, they stood in the ring and they looked at each other. Aye, it's so fucking lit. That was a confrontation, not a story.
what about Nikki Cross standing backstage? Surely there's a story there. When she's lingering in the back of shots. Come on, hit me with it.
No. See if you're at the shops and you're in the line and somebody else is in the line and you turn around and you look at each other, that's not a story. That's just two guys making eye contact. So there you go. That's but you've got Selena Vega and Aleister Black. They're doing these wee. Not a story. They're copying this. All that is Triple H trying to fucking take a dig at Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Oh, look, we released you, and now we've given your crappy fucking segments to somebody else. That's all you've got there. Who else have you got on SmackDown? Who's the champion on SmackDown? Oh, Eli Dragunov. What story? No, nothing. Open challenge. The guy before him, Sami Zayn. Open challenges. So no story going on for the US title. Tag belts. I don't know. One of those shitty factions has got them. Can't remember exactly who. Oh, but Carmelo and Miz, they've got a story. No, they don't. They tagged up. They couldn't get along. They broke up as a tag team, and now they've been beating each other up. But there's no story going on there. Oh, it was a tag team that just didn't work, and now they're feuding.
Why juggle kids in a cart? Try stress-free grocery delivery with DoorDash. Easy, fresh, and fast. Download the app today.
They're feuding every single week, either facing each other in a match or attacking each other. Michael Cole's on SmackDown because Joe Testori can't work Fridays now. That's not a story, although it's probably the most interesting change that they've got. Well, that's it really. Women's the Tiffany Stratton every week was either beating Nia Jax or Jade Cargill. No stories going on there.
The entirety of John Cena's run.
Not a story. Julia is the US champion, doesn't really speak English. Not a story going on there. Chelsea Green, not a story going on there. Not a story going on anywhere. Who else have we got? We've got Damian Priest. No story going on there. That's it really. I can't think of anything else. That sums it up. Yeah, that's it. No stories. Not a single story going on WWE.
The roster feels bigger than ever. It's bloated as hell, and they don't have.
Well, bigger in terms of size.
it.
Yeah, but let's not pretend bigger. You're not looking at these people and you're going, these are big personalities or these are big physical guys. No. It's smaller than ever. You know, in terms of size of the individuals and the characters and the wrestlers, it's never been fucking smaller.
No, absolutely. But we have nothing. You got nothing.
I would love somebody. We don't have the capabilities, but if somebody can do this, then I would appreciate it. Is there any way to compare the average size of rosters over the years? So can somebody say what the average height and average weight of this current roster, and then compare it to, let's say, 2015, then compare it to 2005, and then compare it to 95? Yeah. I would like to know what the average height and average weight of the rosters have been over the decade.
Well, I seen one on Twitter earlier. It wasn't to do with weight or height or whatever. It was to do with age. 2025.
Must be the oldest one by far.
Listen, 2025 median age is 41.7. The youngest was someone. I think Gunther 47 was the youngest. Back to the year 2000.
Was this main event scene? Or?
Yes, main event scene. And the main event scene in 2000 was, I think it was 31.9, and the oldest age in 2000 was Austin at 46. Now that is like a gap of.
Would Taker not been?
Taker was 45. Now that is about a gap.
Austin's older than Taker?
Yeah, about a year. So that is a gap of nearly 10 years, right? Compare it to football. The median age in football normally stems between 25 and about 29 and a half. So that's 4.5 points. And that's like a 20-team league and across the world. This is wrestling. How the fuck? The oldest guy today, the youngest guy today is older than the oldest guy in 2000. How's that happened?
Yeah, but you also got to factor in, Austin, regardless of his age, had to be a main event guy. Taker, Rock, they had to be main event guys. So even if they were old, you're going to have them in the main event. It's going to bump up the average age of your main eventers because those are legitimate main event guys. See, today, you look at your main event guys, you could literally replace them with anybody. So there's no excuse to have an old main event now because you don't need a 40-year-old Jey Uso when you could just put a 28-year-old Braun Breaker in the main event. Do you see what I mean? It's not like...
Said that for ages.
See with Austin being 36 or whatever age he was, it's not like you can go, well, Austin doesn't need to be in there, we'll just make it younger by sticking in 24-year-old Funaki. No, you can't replace Stone Cold with Funaki, but you look at Jey Uso, you look at Gunther, these people can be replaced.
Yep, and should be replaced, but they're not replaced.
The average age back then of the main eventers was pretty much forced on you because Stone Cold was so good that he had to be a main event guy. Undertaker was so good he had to be a main event guy. See, in 2025, WWE are choosing to have their main eventers be old as fuck. You can't look at Jey Uso and Gunther, and you can't turn around and say, oh, these people are so fucking good that they're pushing the younger guys out of the main event scene. WWE is purposely choosing to have these old guys in the main event. They could easily be replaced.
But that is the key thing. But like, if you look at the guys back in the Attitude Era who weren't in the main event, they were extremely young. You're looking at like the Hardys. I mean, we're talking about when the Hardys came into it, man. Teens into like early 20s, and so many other examples. But now you're talking like even guys like Sheamus, who's nowhere near. I mean, Sheamus, AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston. All these, I'm pretty sure Kevin Owens is Sami Zayn when he factored in.
I get to an extent though that whoever is in the main event is probably going to be among the older people on the roster, because probably to get to that main event status, you need to have years behind you. I would say it's more than likely that if you take 5 main event guys and you take 5 jobbers, yes, the main event guys are on average probably more likely to be older because it takes them time to get to the main event. But holy fuck, it's like the guys that are in the main event they're not good enough. They're not good enough.
No, but that switch of 10 years older is absolutely insane. It would be bad.
But see in 2000, you'd be looking at Austin and you'd be going, not ideal. And was it you sure he was 36 in 2000?
Yeah, he's born in 1964.
So Austin's 65 now? Or 64?
61, mate. He's born in 64. It's 2025. He'll be 61 in December.
Right, my maths wasn't maths.
Yeah, the fucking world.
Right, so
2030, yeah.
See in 2000, right, you'd be looking at Austin and you would go, 36. Let's be honest, not ideal. I wish Austin was 26. In an ideal world, Austin would be 26. But he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's the biggest draw we've got. He's the biggest star we've got. We have to push him as number 1. He has to be in the main event. So yeah, we wish he was younger, but yeah, he's the biggest star that is in the wrestling business. Austin's in the main event. You'll get Jey Uso 40. How can you defend and justify having that guy in the main event scene?
You can't. You just fucking. And there's no quality to them. There's nothing to them. There's no redeeming factors to them. And that's what made previous eras so good. Yeah, there's guys that have been stars. It doesn't matter their age. But none of that exists today. That's why the Ruthless Aggression worked. Because all the guys are pushing.
No, but like we say as well when we always say, oh, but when you got older, right? Or they moved you on, and they pushed young guys. That's the way it should be. Only the very best, only the legends, only the cream of the crop should be allowed to stay on the main roster and stay in the main event scenes as they get older.
Yep.
And when you look at it. Look at 2002. People say that's the best roster ever assembled. See, when you look at active wrestlers, I think there was only 3 that were above 40. I'm pretty sure it was Hogan, Flair, and DDP.
Yeah, well, I think Nash would have been, but he was injured, wasn't he? Well, he was in it. He's had a few matches so far.
I don't know if Nash was there at that time or not. I know he was injured at a certain period of time. But you look at Hogan and Flair, like they were the guys. You weren't getting fucking. There was no jobber, right? There was no guy that sucked from the 80s that was in 2002 on the main roster.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. You look at like 2003, Piper comes back. Got guys like Nash. These are guys that deserve to be there and should be there.
See anybody that did get brought back that was like a jobber in the early 90s or the 80s or whatever, they were pretty much used in a comedy role. Like a Doink the fucking Clown,
a Brooklyn
Brawler, guys like that. See, then you look as we go into the Ruthless Aggression era, then see when you get beyond the Ruthless Aggression era and you're like moving into like the late 2000s, you look at the older guys that are still, you've got the young guys coming through, you've got the new generation coming through, and then you look at the old guys that are still at the top of the card, and who are they? It's your Takers, it's your Triple H's, it's your Shawn Michaelses.
What's your favorite app at the moment?
Definitely TikTok. I check it every day.
What's your favorite app at the moment?
TikTok. I could scroll for hours.
What's your guys' favorite apps at the moment?
Well, I'm an Android user, so probably TikTok Lite.
Same. She put me on.
Wait, what's TikTok Lite?
It's literally just TikTok, but more compatible on my Android.
Oh, and it saves data.
It has optimized performance. My favorite thing is that I can scroll offline when I'm flying or have unstable connection.
Yeah, I don't have enough RAM, so TikTok Lite is perfect on my Android phone.
It has the same content as TikTok and the same amount of fun, but just easier and faster.
That sounds perfect. Where can I get it?
Just download it at the Google Play Store.
Wendy's. Install it now.
Michaelses.
Yeah, no, 110%.
You haven't got, like, I'm trying to think of someone from like the 90s that was pretty damn shite. You haven't got.
D'Lo Brown isn't floating about in 2010.
No, he's not in the main event scene.
No, he's not. So it just doesn't work. Time moves on. It's like anything like this business, man. You need to bring up the new generation. You can't just fucking. The real problem is all these guys at main event today were nobodies when wrestling was good. For the most part, right? Obviously, the main like Cena was obviously on today's list, but that's different. Orton was on it. That's different. But the guys who were on it, like the Cody Rhodeses, the Roman Reigns, the Jey Usos, etc. I mean, they're all 41. I think Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens might have been on it. Gunther, Rollins. But how many of these guys have been wrestling since the early 2000s and achieved nothing? Achieved nada. But anyway, I think it's about time we actually dove into Triple H's comments here. Now, he was asked about how WWE is different from the UFC, and he gave this answer, and I quote, "We tell stories. People within our business sometimes take this wrong. We don't write the shows based on, that'll be a great match. We write it on the stories that we can create, the protagonist, the antagonist, how that works with each other, telling stories that can resonate with people, something that maybe they've experienced in their real life. Say some type of fantastical version of that." End of quote. So immediately, right, we've just went through how there is no stories. At least the UFC is real, and there is no real. You can actually get stories in UFC. You can get a comeback story. You can get the basic stories, a comeback story, or an actual like a trilogy or something. That's as good.
Yeah,
as
but UFC and boxing were never designed to tell stories. They were designed to get the best fighter. Oh, who is the best heavyweight in the world? Who is the best boxer? Well, we're going to find out because there's a title belt, and the best boxers will rise to the top, and whoever is the best will become champion. Oh, who's the best mixed martial artist? Well, here there's a world title. We're going to find out. We're going to stick them in a cage. We're going to wrestle each other. What is wrestling? It's sports entertainment. It's fake. It's two guys pretending to fight. And why the fuck would you want to watch a fake fight when you can watch a real fight? Well, I'll tell you one reason. See, if you give us larger than life characters and you throw in stories, then here, all of a sudden, watching those fake fights become more interesting than watching the real fights. But Triple H has stripped the characters away, he's stripped the stories away, and literally now all he gives you is fake fucking fights with fake brawls. And see if I have to watch one more show where security come out like 3-4 times a shoot just to split people up, I
I would agree with Triple H here. I don't. Not
I
every
hate
feud.
this.
Not every feud is necessarily built on whether it will be a great match. I agree with that. There is some like you're like Dragunov, you can do this good for example. But there's no way CM Punk versus Jey Uso Saturday Night's Main Event was booked because those two are going to have a great match.
I disagree. People think they do give good matches.
Jey Uso CM Punk.
Yes, people.
No,
Yeah.
Twitter's bashed the fuck out of Jey Uso. People are accusing him of sandbagging. Now, if he wanted,
Well, hold on. People are choosing a sandbag, so that means that Triple H didn't think it could be a great match. That makes no sense. How did Triple H know that Jey Uso was going to sandbag the match?
he doesn't need to sandbag. He's shite. He's shite.
But you brought up the fact that he sandbagged as if that was a reason. Oh, look, there you go, the match was shite. Well, Triple H doesn't know ahead of the match, so come on.
But did he sandbag against his own brother? His twin. He was shite in that match. What about all the matches about against Gunther? What about every match he's in? Jey Uso's not a good worker.
Hold on here. I know he's not a fucking good worker, but the average wrestling fan thinks he is good.
No, I don't think. I think he's good, but not a good worker. So you think Triple H does book every match because it's going to be a great match?
Yes,
every single match.
Yes, where's Omos then? Where's Omos? A big guy that fucking.
I think that's a different.
No, where's Omos? A big guy that can't work. Tell you this, you say Triple H doesn't book matches to give you good. When was the last time we just had a match, right, that was purposely there to advance one of these so-called stories that Triple H has going on? When was the last time we seen a match just end in like 2 minutes or get thrown out because of a DQ? Every match goes long. It doesn't matter what match it is. Every match goes long. You watch Raw, whether it be a jobber match, mid-card match, upper mid, main event, every match goes long. Every match goes like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And this is on Raw and SmackDown.
Yes, but my point.
No, but you'd see matches all the time that would get thrown out back in the day, and the match would literally only be made to set up a story. How many times would McMahon have maybe put Austin in a match, but the real intention wasn't to have a match? It was so the corporation could come down and beat up. See, you don't get that anymore. Listen. No, you'd have Austin maybe in a match against Midian. Austin beats him in 2 minutes, but it was just a ploy to get Austin in the ring so that the acolytes could come out and Fisterras could come out and all those guys could come out. When was the last time we seen a match that was just there to set up something else? Never. See, every time you get a match now on Raw, SmackDown, whatever, it's always given time, it's always given length to put on a good wrestling match. So what Triple H 100% books every single match to give us a good match. You can't. How can you say he does?
I disagree. It's about 95% of the time.
Oh, I mean,
of course it is.
Name the 5%.
The Jey Usos of this world. He can't work. He's simply in there.
Triple H doesn't think that.
So you believe Triple H thinks Jey Uso's a brilliant worker, a great wrestler?
Well, look at the people he's going to main event. Look at the people he thinks are stars. So obviously he does.
Yes, but see as shite as I think Gunther is, and shite as I think Seth Rollins is, and guys of that ilk, even like Cody Rhodes, they are better than Jey Uso, and Triple H must know that.
I don't think he does.
So you don't think Triple H knows that?
No, I don't think he does. No, I mean, I need to repeat myself.
Right, fair enough. I'm going to disagree.
Answer my question. When was the last time we got a short match? When was the last time? When was the last time we got a match to set up something else, and the focus of the match wasn't on the entire? Now you can say Jey Uso is a good worker. I agree with you, but when was the last time we had a match with Jey Uso that wasn't there to purposely put on a good match? So you think Triple H is giving Jey Uso a 20-minute match to purposely stink out the joint?
No, I think he's rewarding him with a 20-minute match.
No. Because back in the day, Vince, when he put people that couldn't work around their limited ability, they would have got shorter matches. Like Vince would have went, hold on, see Khali here, we're not going to have him try and.
No, but I think the basic template now is long matches. It's not just a case if you can work, you'll get
that's to give a good match. Back in the day, McMahon didn't.
Meltzer thinks the full time.
No, but back in the day,
he knows he can't do a 5-minute match between Punk and Uso.
Back in the day, McMahon would have done a 5-minute match.
Not in the pay-per-view is my point.
Lower matches in the card, yes.
Yeah, this is the main event. That's what I'm saying. This is the main event.
On Raw and SmackDown, there was plenty of quick matches that would last in a minute.
I've played the game. I'm fucking well aware. That's why it was good.
But when do you get minute matches now? When do you get squash matches? You don't. When do you get squash matches? You never do. The closest thing we've got to a squash match was in years would be that match that we seen the other night there, Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill. That's the closest thing. When do you get? Oh, but Brock never wrestled 7 minutes. When do you actually get like a squash match on Raw or SmackDown? You don't, because that's considered embarrassing. Triple H should be like, oh no, hold on, Rusev come back and put him in. No, we can't be doing that. We need to put on a good match, even if it's Rusev versus some jobber. We need to go 10 minutes because we don't want to disrespect the job.
Block Blast Puzzle Games. Play now.
The job. So Triple H puts on every match to try and give you a good. Of course he does.
Well, yeah, I think 95% of them that's the case. Personally, I think 100% of them for his own personal agenda. Because there is no stories. We can fucking 110% agree on that. But well, yeah, maybe you think Triple H is even too far gone than what I think. But if Triple H truly thinks that Jey Uso's a good worker and that's part of the reason why he gets these long matches like everybody else, then I think we're even more fucked than I thought before this video started.
If Triple H knew that Jey Uso wasn't a good worker, and if Triple H knew that Jey Uso wasn't a good worker, and if Triple H, like you're claiming, didn't just care about giving us a good match, then he would make matches that would like tailor around Jey Uso. He would make them, first of all, not be as long. He would turn them into more of like brawls rather than so-called technical wrestling matches. He would add a gimmick match rather than just it's going to be a straight-on wrestling match.
That's not you overrating Triple H's ability to think. That's what McMahon would have did. Triple H can't do that. See if McMahon was handling Jey Uso, right? First of all, he'd be nowhere. But let's say McMahon books him to beat Gunther, right? And he beats Gunther at Mania. See when Jey Uso continues to put on stinker after stinker. You try to tell me Jey Uso gets a second world title chance, all these other opportunities throughout the year, taking on Gunther, taking on Punk, taking on... No, he'd be straight in the fucking card. But Triple H is rewarding this guy, in my opinion. He's one of many, because of the crowd reaction that he gets. It's all about agendas. He loves the finger poke to the side. I'll agree that 90% of them is to book a great match, but there's no way
all of them are to book great. Triple H, he doesn't put on matches to purposely not give you a good match. He doesn't do that. And the booking proof is right there. When's it happened? There's so many matches.
Okay, so look at guys in that battle royal then. Look at guys in that battle royal. So is Jey Uso. So do you believe that Triple H thinks that Jey Uso is the best option to get a good match at CM Punk? Or why? So do you believe that? Does he think he's better than AJ Styles to get a good match at Punk?
Well, first of all, AJ Styles isn't in the main event scene.
He took on Cena.
And he's tagging up with fucking Tackle Master Dragon Lee.
See the moves he kicked it off? He can kick it with all those moves. Why can't he be in the main event?
Well, when you use that logic, then AJ Styles should be unbeatable. He kicked it basically every single finisher that's existed. But no, you just don't get matches anymore that set up anything. You just don't get it back that you get all the time. No, hold on. Do you think McMahon put Austin in it? Do you think McMahon put Austin in it every week in a match to try and get a great match? Or was it, hold on, we need to... Stone Cold Steve Austin's the biggest star we've got, so therefore he's going to do it in the match.
Great matches come with great characters. Anyway, we'll move on, because there's plenty to get into here for Triple H. But he's a fucking... Triple H is just... We tell stories, we can't name one.
You got none.
Anyway, moving on, right. So he said, and I quote, "There is a writer's room. There's a show right now on Netflix called Unreal, and it's the first time ever I look behind the scenes of what we do. We let cameras into the writer's room, we let them backstage our shows so you can see the production of the shows. You see what goes into it, you know? There are months of planning that goes into that stuff. We're looking now at WrestleMania in Vegas in April, what those matches are going to be, and how we want to get there, what's the storyline it takes us there over time. I would say we're so much more akin to like the Marvel Universe, where you're planning it long term, where the movies fit, and how they go with all the characters, than we are direct MMA at the end of the day. Direct MMA, you know what, UFC, is you're booking matches, and the interest is, that guy's really good, he's really good, I'm not sure who's going to win, let's put them together. When you get the right personalities involved, then it explodes. End of quote.
Right, the fact this guy is like comparing WWE to Marvel, and we wonder why this company sucks.
No, absolutely. But I mean, well, I agree with you, but according to him, he's basically burying the UFC for exactly, well, not burying them, but he's saying the UFC is doing what you're accusing them of doing, what I'm accusing them of doing, 95% of the time. They're just booking matches for the sake of the best matches.
Well, it's UFC, and it should be that way. It should be right. Who's the highest ranked fighter we've got? Because he needs to take on the champion.
That's what it needs to be.
No, but like, see the way, it was that time JBL was picking balls, he had to make a title defense, and he's picking balls, and he picked Shannon Moore, or that time Triple H defends against Taka Michinoku. Why should you get that in boxing? See if a champion's doing that, like a Deontay Wilder, top of the division, and he's got a voluntary defense, and he's literally picking fucking tomato cans. You're gonna get bashed for that. If you're the champion in boxing, you should be fighting the top contenders. You should be fighting a guy ranked 40th in the world. It's a real sport.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Oh, look at that. UFC they want to have the two best guys in the division fight each other. They're bad. They only care about the match. Well, hold on here. Why wouldn't you want the best to fight the fucking best?
Except no, that's what it should be, but he's on about story arcs, long-term book. Where is it then? Where are we going?
When was the last time WWE had a squash match? When was the last time WWE had a big guy come back and beat somebody in less than a minute? When was the last time WWE had, like, when McMahon was there and he was debuting like a Braun Strowman and it would be Braun taking on like 2 guys or 3 guys in a handicap match and he would just bury them straight up? When was the last time we seen a match like that?
No, I don't.
Squash matches get people over.
But see, I've noticed.
See, to get people over, they have to be dominant. See, to get some. No, but even when you look at NXT, you've got Trick Williams who they're trying to portray as a monster. They're trying to portray as this dominant guy that is almost unbeatable. Yet no matter who he faces, he goes like 10 minutes at least.
Yeah,
Stephen Kane took on the fucking Hardy Boys. Did the match last 10 minutes?
No, he squashed them in a minute.
See if Kane came out, even though it's 2-on-1, see if Kane came out against these 2 kids called the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff, and they took him 10 minutes, and they got all their shitting, and they got all their big moves in on Kane. You'd be going, oh fuck, are you sure this guy's Undertaker's brother? He doesn't look that good, he doesn't look that dominant. But see when Kane comes out 2-on-1 and he dismantles 2 guys, even though they're young and they do look, on the smaller side, you think, holy shit, he just cut through them like a knife through hot butter. This guy's obviously a machine, this guy's dominant, this guy's unstoppable, this guy is a threat. See when you see Braun Strowman and he was beating people 3-on-1, 4-on-1, and they did the same thing with Almost. Remember when McMahon was pushing Almost? He had Almost beat people like 3-on-1 in like fucking 1 minute. When was the last time we seen matches like that in WWE?
No,
they don't happen because Triple H doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about, hold on, see if we have a squash match, see the guy that wins, he's going to look good. He doesn't care about that. All he cares about is, no, we can't be doing that. We need to have a good match. No, a 1 minute squash match can't be a good match. They need to go at least 10 minutes and it would be disrespectful to... No, but we live in a world where they think it would be disrespectful if... I'm trying to think of something. Name me someone that's like relatively big in terms of physical size. That is like relatively new, that's not in the main event, that they want to push.
Is Bronson Reed in the main event? He's upper mid. Upper mid, he's mid. I'll take that for free.
Right, Bronson Reed. Now, name me someone that's on the smaller size on Raw.
Kira Tozawa.
Right, well, no, someone a bit higher. Let's go with you. Bronson Reed, you're not going to get a match on Raw this upcoming week. Bronson Reed versus Akira Tozawa, and Bronson Reed beats him in a minute.
Why juggle kids in a cart? Try stress-free grocery delivery with DoorDash. Easy, fresh, and fast. Download the app today.
Ollie's deals are so good, you won't believe the prices.
This has to be a joke.
It's no joke. Ollie's Bargain Outlet sells famous brand name merchandise at up to 70% off the fancy store prices. Hurry in.
Ollie!
Good stuff, cheap.
You ain't going to get that. See if they wrestle. It's going to go at least 5, 6, 7 minutes, and Akira Tozawa's going to get his shit in. Akira Tozawa's going to build... At one point in the match, Akira Tozawa will build momentum, and he'll get a bit of offense in, and Joe Testoria will be like, oh, can Akira do it? Can Akira do it? No. What happened to days where they'd get in the ring, the bell would ring, Bronson Reed would hit like 2 moves, then do a splash off the top rope, 1, 2, 3. You're winning in 57 seconds, Bronson Reed.
That's what I do.
You see the way in Rocky, Apollo puts over Ivan Drago by jobbing out in the second round? No, exactly. So see if Apollo gets battled, but he makes it all the way through the fight. Doesn't make Ivan Drago's win look as important.
Doesn't set up the Rocky fight all that well.
Rocky taking Drago to the last round doesn't look that impressive if Apollo Creed's already fucking done it.
Exactly.
But see the fact that Apollo Creed has battled him, Apollo Creed's been battled and killed in round 2, and all of a sudden Drago's a threat. See the first fight with Clubber Lang? See the fact that Clubber Lang has KO'd Rocky in 2 minutes? Fucking hell, that means you begin to think, well, there's no way Rocky can beat him in a rematch. See if Clubber Lang and Rocky went the whole entire 15 rounds and Clubber Lang won on the judges' scorecard by 1 point, you'd be thinking, oh fuck, that's a close match, Rocky can come back and beat him, no problem. It's all about how you book. In wrestling now, they talk about 50-50 booking, it's never been closer to actual legit 50-50 booking, because no matter who wins, they always want to have a good match. The match always needs to go long, both people in the match always need to be competitive. You don't get short matches anymore. anymore. You don't get squash matches that have the intent of setting up something else or just trying to push somebody, or a match that ends in a DQ. You get matches that end in DQ, but they make sure they have a good match first. How can you not see this?
No, but I do see this. Why put words in my
No,
mouth?
but you're on about, oh, no, I don't care about I think he 100% does. When was the last time
You think every single match?
I do. When was the last time we had a match that lasted like a minute and then somebody ran into the DQ? Triple H always make sure you get the good 10-15 minute match first, then it ends in a DQ.
No, I just believe there's an exception when you've got people in there that can't work, and therefore is it really true? Like Nia Jax, is she truly in there because of her working ability? No, I don't think she's in there.
Hold on, did they not all blow smoke about Triple Threat match like last month? It was great.
I don't know. I think about last month's wrestling. Anyway, Triple H did go on to explain why gimmicks don't work.
Wait, just before we talk about that, do you believe that Triple H watches chainsaw matches and watches Nia Jax matches and he goes, fuck this thing at the joint?
He should, but
I think if he thought that, he wouldn't have them in those roles.
I don't know. There's no way you can look at Jey Uso and think he's a good worker.
Well, I think Triple H does.
Right, well, anyway, we'll move on. So he says gimmicks don't work in WWE anymore. So, in my opinion, if you want to book stuff like Marvel, which is gay, but that's just what we're dealing with, but if you want stories...
That guy in the green shirt, he's a homo.
No, but if you want stories, and for people to care, long term, short term, whatever, gimmicks and characters come hand in hand. You need it. So how can you come around and say that gimmicks don't work anymore? No, I'll tell you what doesn't work about gimmicks. They don't work, because they're not fucking working. So they're not there to be worked. Where are they? Who's got a gimmick? What's someone's gimmick?
If gimmicks don't work anymore, can Triple H explain why this era, the era that has no gimmicks, is the worst era ever in professional wrestling?
No, he was speaking on the All In podcast. There was a few talks about the 80s and 90s. There was people based on real world political tension, like the Iron Sheik representing Middle Eastern conflict, but those days are long gone. He pointed out that today, people portraying a stereotype would likely backfire, especially in an era where public sensitivity is higher and more reactionary than ever. But so before we get to the quotes, no one is asking, right, Triple H to create like an IDF general, or like a Hamas guy, or a Russian guy that goes around talking about, oh, I bombed fucking Kiev yesterday, right? I just want guys like... I mean, I even think that a pimp and a fucking porn star are even at the equation, but I just want something.
Why is a pimp, why is a Godfather style character right at the equation when the women wrestlers today fucking show more revealing gear than any of Godfather's hoes ever did?
Well, no, that is true, but...
No, but why is like a couple of female prostitutes or hoes on screen, why is that like considered unacceptable when you look at Tiffany Stratton and she literally looks like a call girl or something like that? It makes no sense to me. We pretend that the women today, they're not like the women in the past that were only like used as fucking sex objects. The women today they're powerful, they're strong. Why did they wear more revealing gear than ever? Why did they wear more makeup than ever? Why did they wear more hair extensions, etc. than ever?
No, I totally agree with that, right?
No, hold on. See if you go through the entire roster, the majority of these females are literally fucking showing their ass cheeks. And here, see back in the day, fucking they would have been great if Trish and Leah. But see you actually think about it. See look at the women back in the day. I think their ring gear was actually respectable. See look at the Ruthless again. I'm thinking here. See the ones that wore shorts. It was shorts that covered their ass cheeks.
Yeah.
No, the first one that came along and kind of blew out of the water was Mickey James, because she kind of wrestled in a skirt and a fucking thong, and halfway you're like, holy shit. But when you see look at Trish, for the majority of the time, like she wore long pants.
Yes, Ivory.
And see anyone like Gail Kim, she kind of wore like shorts that were longer than. She wore shorts that were like, I think down to like her thighs, if I recall correctly. But even if she didn't, like maybe, even the ones that just wear the kind of the generic pants, they were like bottoms that covered the ass.
Yeah, now there's this revealing now that they pretend that they're... I mean, I think that's a whole different fucking gimmick. Gimmick doesn't gimmick.
No, but look at Stephanie Fakir.
No, I know.
Her cheeks are literally on show. And I'm not complaining here, but I'm saying, like, how the fuck can you disrespect the women in the past when you've got this current generation of women coming looking like that?
Well, let's get to my point here, because that's 100% right. But why are we looking at the extreme gimmicks like the Muhammad Hassans of the world and the Iron Sheik? Why can't we have Hurricanes? Why can't we have like Juice and Domino? Why can't we have MVP? Where are those gimmicks? It doesn't need to be terrorist. It doesn't need to be fucking army generals. It doesn't need to be like, oh, a pimp. I can see why you wouldn't want to do a pimp, right? Even if there's plenty of holes out there. Why can't we even get basic? Why are they all getting put in the same category like, oh, they're all evil? Could it just simply be because that's all McMahon and they just want to distance themselves from McMahon?
Possibly. Matt Striker,
look at the attitude there, right? The world's most deadliest man, like Steve Blackman. They are like, there's nothing controversial with those gimmicks. It's a guy who is an MMA fighter. He's got the gloves. You've got Steve Blackman carries a duffel bag about karate, nunchucks. They're gimmicks.
Why can't we get a vampire?
Yeah, but
no, I don't get it. No. Oh, these vampires aren't real. That's unreal. So hold on, you can get fucking dumb shit like the Wyatt family. That's absolute garbage. But you can't get like a vampire type of style character like a Kevin Thorne or a Gangrel or a Judas Messiah.
The Wyatt family is nothing more than a glorified tribute act to a guy that's massively overrated. That's what they are. That's their gimmick. You can call it that. They go to Disneyland and they point about the Bray Wyatt rides and they think they're brilliant.
Why can't we get a Eugene?
Dad, my phone is so old and I'm running out of storage. Can I please get a new one? You know, I want a new phone too. I'll tell you this. How about you get me a new phone and then I'll think about getting you a new phone? Dad, I'm not joking. My phone is so lag I can't even watch my language learning videos. That is a real problem. You know the economy isn't great right now. Your phone's an Android, right? Yeah, why? You know you can use TikTok Lite. TikTok Lite? What's that? TikTok Lite is a smaller, faster version of TikTok. It only takes up 18 megabytes and it works well with 3 gigabytes of RAM. It'll be perfect for your phone. Yeah, I mean, it sounds great, but I thought it was gonna work on our Wi-Fi. I mean, we have the worst Wi-Fi I've ever seen. That's the best part. TikTok Lite works smoothly and fast, even in the worst internet connections. And you still have all the same fun and the entertainment as a normal TikTok. Alright, you convinced me. As long as I can still view my favorite creators and have a good time, I'll download it. TikTok Lite, smaller, simpler, and faster. Go download it now.
Eugene, I think the product's retarded, so why can't we get at least one retarded character?
Exactly, so that's what Triple H went on to say about it, and I quote, absolutely, I just think if you stereotype somebody in a particular place, a lot of the world would rebel against that, yeah, right, not in a positive way, and maybe sometimes people have no real reason to have a position on either side of that, right, end of quote. I'm going to disagree here. You look at Twitter, you look at Facebook, how many times do you scroll through it, and it's like a clip from 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago, and it'd be like, WWE always used to be wild, and people would be like commenting, oh, this is when we all watched it, this was great, it's no wonder the ratings are up, McMahon was a genius. This would bring back viewership. People want to see that. Russo was tweeting the other day about a JCW. He's going to be talking about real life issues like ice, big conflicts, and that's what you need.
That's great, but Triple H says he doesn't want to stereotype somebody into a particular place. There has been so many fucking wrestlers over the years that would not have got a shot on the main roster and would not have amounted to anything if they didn't have a character. And one guy I can think of is Nick Dunsmore. Now, see when he was Eugene, people were saying, oh, they're burying this guy. Nick Dunsmore's a talented wrestler. He's this or he's that. But here's the thing. See, Nick Dunsmore, nobody gave a fuck about him. Like, literally nobody cared about him. I don't know if you can remember the late Eugene character before he disappeared, but you remember he cut all his hair off and he stopped coming out wearing that white, and he kind of just almost transitioned into a normal wrestler called Eugene.
Right.
And it was
graduated for the custom.
Nobody gave a shit about him.
Right.
He was an absolute fucking jobber. He was a nobody, and then sooner or later he was taken off the main roster. But see, Nick Dunsmore would have never got the opportunity to be a big part of Monday Night Raw for a couple of years, and Nick Dunsmore would never got to take on Triple H at SummerSlam. Not a fucking chance. On what planet does Nick Dunsmore, if he's not, you think he gets to take on Triple H? You think Nick Dunsmore randomly comes in as Eric Bischoff's nephew? No, he came in as Eric Bischoff's nephew because he was fucking retarded, and that was his gimmick. He got a match with Triple H because he was fucking retarded, and he cost Triple H the world title.
No, but look at that.
But see, people thought the Eugene character buried Nick Dinsmore. The truth is, Nick Dunsmore would never got a chance. He would never got a couple years on the main roster if it wasn't for that character. Look at another guy. I forget his name. I forget his real name, but in WWE he was called Kevin Thorne. Now, and before that he was called the white guy, Mordecai. Pretty much everybody I know has come out and buried this guy, saying that he fucking sucks as a wrestler. Now, I forget, is it Kevin Fertig or something? Or
it might be something like that.
I forget what his actual name is, but there's like a run, and maybe not necessarily in a bad way, because I think Matt Hardy's friends with the guy, but Matt Hardy basically came out and said this guy sucks. They're fucking buried him non-stop. Point I'm making here is, see if he never got this Mordecai, like almost godlike character, Antichrist character, see if he never got the Kevin Thorne vampire character with the fucking hot goth girlfriend, see if he never got these characters, that guy would never have got on TV. Now yes, both his stints were pretty damn short, and they led to nowhere, but because of the characters, he at least got a chance, he got an opportunity, and that is something that the plain wrestler with his normal name and normal tights, with no gimmick and no character, that's more than he would have got with that. I mean, I just don't know, people can't see it, but holy fuck, Triple H is trying to pretend here that giving people gimmicks would somehow hold them back. No, giving people gimmicks would give them a chance.
No, of course. I mean, look at the Godfather, Papa Shango, Mustafa, and the Nation, Bob Holly, Sparkplug, Hardcore Holly. I mean, Bradshaw was like 10 different fucking things as well. All the amount of guys that played different gimmicks in WWE, like Gregory Helms, Hurricane, etc., etc., etc. See with their gimmicks. Look at Cake, Mean Mark Galloway. That would be him. The Undertaker, Nick Cage, just Glenn Jacobs, Nick Dr. Isaac Yankum, Nick Kane.
Yeah, you take gimmicks away, and Glenn Jacobs and Mark Galloway achieve fucking nothing in wrestling.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H, Paul Thick, Sean Hickenbomb. Now, that's what we're dealing with here. There is not one person in wrestling who's really good, who's truly good, by the way, that got over without some form of gimmick / character. You can't play yourself. You can't. It doesn't work. It's never worked.
Kurt, we're going to bring you up, but by the way, you're not an American hero and you didn't wrestle in the Olympics, you're just some random guy. Aye, brilliant. That's entertaining. Yeah. That's interesting. That's exciting.
There's a reason why people call like the Ben Was of the world, the Dean Malenko's like a bit boring because they didn't really have a character. Their character was the wrestling. The problem is in 2025, what's everybody?
Yeah, Benoit was okay. Benoit was even then though they tried to give him some monikers, you know, oh, Ruthless Aggression, the Rabid Wolver. No, they did try to put the guy over, but at the end of the day, Benoit was an exception because he was a great technical wrestler and he had arguably more aggression than anyone else on the roster. And that was like, okay, well here, Benoit's only really a wrestler, but he's like the best wrestler, so that's kind of good enough for him. Yeah. But see when your gimmick is you don't have one, and the only thing you do is wrestle, and everyone else on the roster wrestles, and you're like the 27th best wrestler, then you're not fucking going anywhere.
Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, Nathan Fraser, 3 English guys, but the same height, look the same, or wrestle the same.
Now, if one of them had a gimmick, it would set them apart, it would give them a chance.
Oh, but they're dressed up as... Yeah, you know what, 2 of them are dressed up as Americanos right now. At least that's something.
Get them on the show, because we're getting on the show with it.
Right, anyway, moving on. And I quote for Triple H, and I quote. The one thing about WWE is we're a fun reflection of the world. It's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be entertainment, it's supposed to be fantastical. It's supposed to let you come to an event for 3 hours and just turn off and enjoy entertainment and some type of representation of the world that's around you. But people get lost in it, and they begin to take representations too seriously sometimes. End of quote. So hold on. We're supposed to be fun, we're a fun world, they're supposed to come here and get lost, but they actually take it too serious and...
He says you're supposed to have fun and show up for 3 hours and turn off. Is that like everyone in the crowd's literally bored on their phones?
What's funny though?
They can't even turn off their phones.
What's more dangerous, replicating the moves or like pretending to be one of the characters? I'll tell you what, the moves kill, words don't. See me going, what? That's less dangerous than me attempting to own Heart Pile Driver on you, isn't it?
Absolutely.
For some reason, the wrestling's fine. Try that at home, but don't try being a character at home. Because that might be offensive. He's a fucking loser. Guy's lost the plot. We've ranted on him for about fucking 50 minutes here. See this argument? I understand it to a degree with certain gimmicks, right? Because it just doesn't fly.
Yoka Sooner would have just been another fucking boring member of the Samoan family that we don't want. Yeah. But instead, McMahon was like, no, you know what? Let's pretend this guy's for Japan and give him a sumo wrestler gimmick.
No, but see the fact that he's fired every single gimmick / character into the same category. You can't do Muhammad-Hassan, you can't do Shark Boy. I mean, why can't you do Shark Boy? Why can't? No, it's ridiculous. We tell stories. See with characters, you've got nothing. Look at every TV show. Look at every TV show, right? See if everybody was just plain and vanilla. See the stories they're trying to tell, they wouldn't work.
I did 2 Venusaurs, 2 Blastoises and 1 Charizard. And one of the Blastoises came out of a mini god pack. Oh my god! No way! No way! This is my second Lord of the stream! No way!
Work. You need stories to work.
Yeah, you need different characters to be different to set them apart, or else everyone's just the same.
Look at every.
And that's why wrestling sucks. Everyone's the same. Everyone looks the same. All the gear looks the same. There's literally nothing. There's nothing setting people apart. You look at like Jeff Hardy, right? And yeah, did he really have? I mean, you could argue his gimmick was he was like a death-defying, he was willing to put his body on the line, whatever, Daredevil type guy. But Jeff Hardy had a specific look.
Yep.
He just looked totally. He wasn't just a guy that came in playing fucking wrestling trunks and wrestled. Jeff Hardy came out looking like.
Yeah, but look at you got like the FBI, DOA. Fucking the Nation of Domination, the Truth Commission,
APA,
right?
literally
all these
protection agency.
All these different groups, right? See if Sons of Anarchy was just DOA, just a bunch of bald guys on bikes. See if The Sopranos was just the FBI, it wouldn't work. But see when you've got all these different factions on a TV show, with all of them, it works.
Billy Ray could have just been a wrestler who had a bunch of fucking jobbers on the outside running and helping win matches. Would that have been good? No. But what he was the president of Aces and Eights, and he was the leader of our motorcycle club, and that made them fucking cool.
Yeah, nothing cool about this. Anyway, 56 minutes later, to wrap it up, there is no stories, there is no characters, there is no. No, but no, I don't get right. It's like, how can you do the Wyatt Six and pretend that like you've? I mean, that is it's a shiny gimmick, but it is a gimmick. How can you have some gimmicks and let some things fly, but then don't let others fly?
I mean, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that the Wyatt Six are a gimmick, but they do nothing with them. They've dressed them up, but what have they done with them?
Yeah, but the Wyatt Six came in and essentially killed people on the first night. If you can do that, then why can't you have a fun like superhero character like the Hurricane? Why can't you have the world's most dangerous, deadliest man, Ken Shamrock?
No, but see when those releases come up and they're getting rid of jobbers, why can't we have someone debut as a new character, as an ice agent? And see instead of like Primo and Epico and whatever those guys are called, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, see instead of those people just disappearing and never being shown on TV again because they've been released, why can't we actually have some guy come up and slap some cuffs on them and lead them away in the back of a police car and you never see them again, like when JBL was at the border?
Yep.
No. Why can't we get that?
No, you get nothing. Anyway,
the world's full of fucking pussies. Why are you bowing out?
To wrap up, I think the reason why they're not doing this is because they know the only people watching are fucking lefty libtard fucks.
And they don't get offended. Yeah, they don't want to offend them. They
can't offend the 1 million watching.
Yeah,
or else they'll be able to.
That's their remaining fan base. So we need to pander to them and don't do anything that'll upset them.
Look at the image, man. He's pointing the pumpkin punk.
I guarantee you, see people.
Where's that from?
See people watch wrestling and they're probably sitting with comfort blankets and shit like this and toys and oh, you should be teddy bear. You should be comforter. What's the hell? You don't like the colour red? Okay, we'll make sure that you don't see it. Oh, you have to when you're eating your pancakes, you have to have them cut up into 3 even slices. Okay,
I'll cut the crust off your toast.
I'll hand feed you. There you go. Oh, no bread on your butter, just mayonnaise. That's all right. Fucking loser.
Aye. Tell you what though, butter and mayonnaise ain't a good combo.
No, it's not. Like maybe I should have come up with something. But you know what I mean. I remember like Andrew Tate made a video once.
46 seconds to wrap up.
I remember Andrew Tate made a video once, and there was like this kid that was coming down the stairs, and he had to go down a specific way, and if he missed a step, he'd start trying his eyes out and go back up and have to go down again. His parents allowed it. And he was like, "What about the kids in Africa that walk fucking 5 miles with a bucket of water on their head? If they make one misstep, do they have to walk back 5 miles? Fuck no. See that wee kid? Just fucking slap him and tell him to man up. And then that, no guys, slap the like button. We'll catch you next time."
See, Andrew Tate's right sometimes.
Aye, sometimes.
That's fucking bang on the money.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail, the ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.